Good morning, Gloria. Thank you for having me. It's parrhesia, by the way, but
Thank you.
don't quote me because I'm not a classical Greek scholar. I only came across it in course of researching my PhD, which interestingly is on the topic of why people do not speak up. What happened to me 11 years ago was that I was the program director for a multi-billion pound contract between the UK government and the government of Saudi Arabia to rebuild the communications for their National Guard, until I came across corrupt payments to offshore bank accounts. And I wouldn't be part of it, and blew the whistle and got threatened with arrest and jail by a senior member of the royal family and my own managing director in Riyadh, which is where I was at the time. And fled the country overnight, I think is probably the best way, and then reported it to the Serious Fraud Office, and have been battling for 11 years to actually get it brought to court. So it actually resulted last year in the company pleading guilty and being fined 28 million and 2 million costs. And it triggered a greater investigation into the Airbus group, which resulted in them declaring another 10 cases of corruption, being fined 3.6 billion euros. So a victory in a way.
And Ian, part of the reason why we do these constituency surgeries on the show is to show the other side of an MP's working. Just tell me when you got in touch with your MP and what happened as a result of that.
Actually, about 8 years ago, very soon after he was elected to the constituency of Thirsk-and-Moulton. And I have to say, he'll get embarrassed in a moment, but he's been absolutely fantastic. He's been a great supporter. He's an honest MP. He's fabulous. And he feels for the topic. He's the chair of the all-party parliamentary group on fair business banking. He's fighting anti-corruption. He's the co-chair of the APPG on whistleblowing. And he really feels for those of us who are put in a really difficult place by coming across wrongdoing and taking that step forward to tell the truth about it.
I'm going to bring Kevin in now. He's not blushing too much. Kevin, those were really lovely remarks about your involvement in the case. Just tell me what your recollection was when Ian, your constituent, first came to you with this.
Well, I was quite shocked, really. I mean, first of all, I'm shocked that anybody would blow the whistle because you just don't get looked after. I mean, he's done a fantastic job. What Ian and people like him are doing is making the system fair. The system should be fair. And if corrupt payments are influencing behaviour, contracts, for example, that's not fair on businesses who pitch for those contracts, and it's not fair on the taxpayer because they're not getting value for money. And we see this time and time again. We do an awful lot of work on the all-party group on fair business banking, on economic crime, trying to make this stuff fair. And we see so many examples where it's not fair. But everything that comes to the surface all comes from people like Ian who blow the whistle. Now, what we don't do in this country, we don't look after those people. Ian's had 11 years. He was on a very well-paid job, 11 years without a single penny. We get they find this company into court. The Serious Fraud Office get a conviction. They don't do that every day. 28 million pounds in sanctions, some of which goes into the Treasury, and Ian doesn't get a penny. Not compensated at all, not protected properly. We've got to change the rules in the UK so that these people get properly protected and properly compensated.
And just tell us what the chances are of changing both those things. I know there are moves as private members bill or a 10-minute rule bill, which is going through at the moment.
Yes,
is the government going to back that, and how would that help whistleblowers? And then secondly, to your second point on the compensation, that Ian, 11 years without anything.
And it's not unusual. You see this time and time again. You speak to whistleblowers, many who have contemplated suicide because of the pressure they put under, often by the companies that they're blowing the whistle within. You think these people would be welcomed in terms of bringing forward this information. That's not the case at all. So yes, Mary Robinson, who's the co-chair of the all-party group on whistleblowing, I work alongside her. She's brought forward some legislation. The government's looking at it. We've had several meetings with them. It's ambitious, and the government has concerns about some of it, but I think he's very sympathetic to the overall plight of whistleblowers. And we need to improve some of the rules. So I think we'll get some change, but we're probably a bit more ambitious for change than perhaps the government is at this point in time. But if we're going to crack economic crime, and let's look at the implications of economic crime, and we see it now in full view with Ukraine. Because the reason Putin has got a war machine is because he's got people around him that are very wealthy, oligarchs, and those people are economic criminals. This is what we're identifying. This is how important this is. And we need to actually crack this. One of the key things we need is proper whistleblower protection and compensation. It's one of the key elements of cracking economic crime. And
back to you, Ian, how have you coped without, walking away from your job, not getting compensation, not being able to earn in the same way? It's awful.
Well, I can't pretend that it's been easy at all. It hasn't. Fundamentally, I've got a fantastic wife who has backed me and stood by me, and I think that's key to any whistleblower is the comfort that your family and support that your family and close friends can provide is an absolute bedrock for going forward. And then you have to find something to do to, feed the mortgage, make the bank manager happy and keep your wife happy, quite frankly, and the children fed.
Oh. Well, do you know what I was going to ask next? Having everything that Ian has gone through, I just wanted to ask, if he'd have known the consequences of doing the right thing, would he have done it?
No.
Have you chatted through that?
I've asked him that question and lots of other whistleblowers. And as I say, every case we've dealt with of economic crime has originated from these people. What we're putting together is an economic crime manifesto together with the all-party group, another all-party group on anti-corruption and responsible taxation. That's Margaret Hodge.
Yes.
This is a cross-party issue, massive. It's a big manifesto. We've got a launch on the 25th of May. There's so many things we need to put in there that we have listed all different measures. But to me, one of the most important ones is whistleblower reform.
Ian, thank you. Sorry about what happened, but I'm really pleased that you are back. I was just going to ask you, if you had known the consequences of blowing the whistle, would you have done it, knowing what the personal consequences for you for the next 11 years would be?
Yes, is a very straightforward, very clear answer. I would, but I would have done it slightly differently. I wouldn't have done it in Riyadh. I'd have got myself out to UK and make sure that I was totally safe physically, because the threat of immediate jail and everything that comes thereafter in a foreign country is something you don't really contemplate when you think about blowing the whistle. I tried to take risk mitigation measures, but they weren't good enough. I got betrayed, and I just had to get out quick. But fundamentally, it's a matter of values. I could not have lived with myself if I had signed up to and been part of the corrupt process. My wife often says, I wish you could have done something else. And I understand that. But my riposte is, me. It's not in my blood. It's not in my soul. I couldn't do it. But
have you had the chance? Sorry, forgive me. Please continue, Ian.
You just live with it, and I will not be a victim. And my message to whistleblowers is, don't be a victim. You've done the right thing. It's up to the system now to protect us and frankly, compensate us for the detriment that you receive. Because you lose your job, but you also lose your future career. And you don't quite understand that when you blow the whistle. So, the system ought to pay you back. Now, I'm not asking for rewards. I don't agree with rewarding people and offering people a financial reward for whistleblowing, because I think that sets up the wrong motivations and leaves you open to accusations of just doing it for the money. But I do think you ought to have a proper system of compensation that actually rebalances your life. If you want a reward, then use the civil list. That's how we reward good citizens in this country. Perhaps do that. But no, compensation actually would make my wife feel happier, I know.
Your wife seems pretty extraordinary, and it's no doubt been an ordeal for her too. Thank you for bringing the issue of whistleblowing to you both, to our constituency in surgery today. Thank you. Thank you.